And as we continue here on the mayor's race, in the race for knowledge about these candidates, we talk to Chris Medlock. Chris, thank you for coming in, being part of our program.
Thanks for having me, John. It's great you guys are doing this.
And I might point out that for the most part, we're asking the same questions of all the candidates, and we're trying to find a person to manage the city of Tulsa. And we're hiring and want to know the background. A little bit about your professional background.
I've had a very varied background. Actually, like a lot of Americans, changed my career numerous times. Most recently was doing talk radio, which is something I never thought I would get into, but much like yourself, found myself doing that for a couple of years. I've been a product manager for a large communication company, marketing manager in the oil and gas field, so I've changed careers. Before that, I went to college fairly late in life, in my late 20s, and before that, I did a lot of working class jobs. I was a cook and a salesman, and things of that nature.
But you left out a part of your resume.
Which part's that? I was a city councilor. Thank you very much.
No small deal. And how many years were you, and what years were you a city councilor?
2003 to 2006. I ended up finishing up Randy Miller's expired or unexpired term, which he went to the county commission and then served another term, and then actually ran for mayor after that.
So what makes you motivated to run for mayor this time?
Love the city. I mean, I viewed the 3 years that I put into the city council as, I never served in the military, and I saw it as a chance to serve my community a little bit. Turned out to be a little more hectic and stressful than I believed it would be when I first got in, but still very important work. I've never done anything that was more intellectually stimulating for me. But the bottom line comes down to love of this city, and I spent that 3 years learning what was the root causes of some of the problems that we're facing right now, and now feel that it's important to get back in, having stepped away for a time being. My 2 years on the radio I saw as being a big focus group, talking to people and finding out what their concerns were, and it's just something that I've added to that experience with the city council that I now feel I'm the guy to help out.
Okay, now this question, I'm not talking about skills, so I'm asking you, if you were writing a job description for the city of mayor of Tulsa, what would it look like?
Oh, I always fall back to sports analogies a lot of times. The mayor's almost, in a way, a point guard for a basketball team. Is somebody that is tasked with being the coach on the field or on the court and distributing and making sure that everybody's working in concert and harmony. More directly to your question, communications and being a communicator is a top responsibility of the mayor. The other thing, though, is building a good team and making sure that you understand what the needs are to build that mayor's team. The 16 employees that the mayor's allowed to hire, they have to mesh with the employees that are already there, the permanent employees, and having that experience. And I've had that experience in some of my educational backgrounds in management. So it's a very complex job, obviously. What you have to do is recognize your strengths and what your weaknesses are, and then hire accordingly.
And then what skills are most important to be mayor?
Depends on what you're trying to accomplish. A lot of what I'm talking about is change. One of the things I'm talking about is beginning a study for a change in our form of government, away from a strong mayor to what Oklahoma City has, something along those lines of what Oklahoma City, Dallas, other cities have. So when you're talking about change, communication does become a major. If you're running a status quo city, then it's more managerial. But if you're talking about change, which is what we're out there talking about, communication becomes the key.
And to complement your management strengths and your weaknesses, what skills or talent would you be looking for in those positions that you're appointing?
Depends. Number one, passion for the city and a heart to serve the city, because obviously you're not going to be able to pay. I'm hoping to get people that are commanding pretty good salaries in the private sector, bring them in. Obviously, for the city, you can't pay them as much. So, to a huge degree, it's got to be people who are very motivated and see it like I did when I was on the city council. This is service back to your community. And on top of that, they're going to have to work with the permanent bureaucracy, with the people that are there within the city. So, having that ability to stay calm in stressful situations is another thing I think.
Can you give us an example from your work background that would demonstrate the skills that you would apply to the position of mayor? Maybe a management example or a project that you oversaw.
Well, sure. I was a product manager for TV Guide a few years back, and basically what my job was, it was a great job. It didn't last long enough. We got acquired But the thing that I loved about that job and what my responsibility really was to work between the marketing people and the techies, the computer guys, learn how to sort of communicate and translate what each of them were saying and sort of be that person who kept everybody calm, kept them on focus, kept them on track. That was something that I felt I was very good at, and really the mayor would have to do a lot of that too. You're sitting in meetings and trying to make sure everybody's staying focused on the end goal.
What do you see ahead for the city of Tulsa, say in the next 5 years, and how are you planning for our future?
Well, our first year or two are probably going to be pretty tough. We're seeing a very tough budget situation. Most of that is due to the national economy, so we're going to have to ride that out a little bit. But most people may not realize that Tulsa derives almost everything it does through sales tax. That means people have got to be spending money inside Tulsa for you to be generating that money that pays for cops and streets and firemen and such. Until we start seeing the national economy come back and people feeling more comfortable about going out and spending again, we're going to see some tough times. So very much hunker down, take a very conservative approach. When we start coming out of that, what I want to see happen is I want to see a lot more transparency in government. We've seen the past administration was not working very well with the city council, was doing a lot of things behind closed doors, running it as she promised like a business, but there are a lot of things you can't do in government like you do in the business world. It starts creating suspicions that don't need to be there. So I want to make sure that we bring a lot more transparency. One of the things I'm talking about doing, John, is moving meetings, a lot of the authorities, boards, and commission meetings to the evenings so that more citizens can participate both as members of those boards and more people can come and kind of watchdog their government. And I want to get a lot of stuff out on the web, too, those meetings.
When you're sitting across from the CEO of a company, he's in another city, he's thinking about coming to Tulsa, and he's bringing, say, 600 jobs, so this is significant.
Right.
What do you say to that CEO that entices him to move these people to Tulsa?
First, you got to tell him what a great community this is we live in. I mean, we're seeing some bad times in our budget, but this is still a great city that I've lived here virtually my entire life and love this town, third-generation Tulsan. It's a great place to raise families. It's a very affordable place to live. We're like in the top 5 in affordability for housing. We've got some things that have to happen at the state level that we're very hopeful that we'll see that with regard to workers' compensation reform. I think we need to let them know that we will be, and I will be working very hard to work with the legislature to get some of the things that the city of Tulsa needs that can only happen down in Oklahoma City at that legislature that will turn us around, but that it's a fantastic place. The school systems are really top-notch. And that this would be a great place to come and live out and raise their family.
Well, I wish I had more time,
Sure.
But we don't.
Me too.
Just generic questions here, but if you come back for the next round, we'll be asking more issues of
Fantastic.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate meeting with you again. Chris Medlock, candidate for mayor. We'll be back with another one here in just a moment.